when I was 13 and the experience I had, which is interesting you're talking about that, because I had drowned when I was 13, and this is how I learned about the false light, and the mechanization of death, that it's actually a machine, the way it all works. Because when I died, there was no light. There was no anything. It was pitch pure. I mean, it was like a void of darkness. But it was not terrifying. I remember as I was dying and everything went dark, I was asking myself, well, where's the light? Where's the light? Everybody's talking about the light. And I thought something was wrong with me because there was no light. And in fact, when I calmed down, and at this point I had drowned, I had just calmed down, and it was the most beautiful experience I ever had. When I had the void, I call it the deep, I felt like everything outside the deep was what was manipulated and untrue. And nothing could penetrate the deep. So you could just go into the deep and go anywhere. It was the most perfect stillness experience ever, but it baffled me because the programming was that you would wait for people you knew, you would wait for the light, everything would happen, and you'd be taken care of. So having that experience at 13 was what showed me the reality versus the trap, and the machines that they use with our, quote, fire bodies, which they harness. They harness that to create the technology that they use against us to trap us when people die, including the whole game of reincarnation. And, they keep you occupied with that so that it's a hamster wheel. But it's a technology that they're.
I thought this was really interesting. I remember in the 1980s sometime, I lived in Chicago and I ran into a spiritual teacher, and I went to several of her, meetings or teachings or whatever. And at one point, I can't remember the question that was asked. It was something about God and how we can, know God or go see God or whatever. And she said something like, why would you want to do that? She said, God is like going into the bowels of a ship or in the basement of a building. She said, God is like a machine. So there you go. It's interesting how people compare the system to being mechanized. Thank you for listening.